The disappearance. A silent summer, August 2000. The town of Cedar Falls, Iowa was typical of the American Midwest. Quiet streets, neighbors greeting each other from their porches, and children playing until the streetlights came on. In this peaceful setting, the life of little Emily Carter, a 6-year-old girl with curly brown hair and an infectious laugh, ended abruptly on August 12, 2000. That day, Emily left summer school at 3:15 p.m. Her mother, Laura Carter, 28, worked at a downtown coffee shop and usually picked her up at 3:30. But that day, Laura had a mishap. A customer complained about a drink, there was an argument, and she was late. When she arrived at the school, Emily was gone. She hadn't left a note, made a phone call, or had any direct witnesses. Only a blue backpack with her name embroidered on it, and a half-colored drawing of a house with a smiling sun. Local police responded immediately. A massive search was launched. Volunteers combed parks, roads, and nearby woods. Security camera footage from local stores was reviewed. Posters with Emily's picture were put up on every street corner in the county. National news outlets made her one of the most wanted people in the country, but after weeks, months, and then years, there was no trace. A fractured family. Laura Carter's life before her disappearance was already complicated. A single mother since the age of 22, after her husband died in a car accident, she struggled to make ends meet. In 1998, she met Rick Holloway, a 34-year-old mechanic with a minor record, a bar fight in 1992, and a violated restraining order against an ex-girlfriend in Nebraska. Rick seemed stable. He got a job at a local auto body shop, helped with the books, and at first was affectionate with Emily. But Laura's neighbors and co-workers noticed changes. Emily became quieter when Rick was home, a teacher recalled in a later interview. It wasn't that she cried or complained, but she avoided talking about him. The relationship between Laura and Rick was strained. They argued frequently, mostly about money. Rick didn't get along well with Laura's family, whom he considered nosy. Emily's paternal grandmother, Martha Reynolds, tried to intervene several times, worried about Rick's behavior, but Laura, tired and emotionally dependent, defended him. "He's not perfect, but he helps me." The only suspect. After Emily's disappearance, the police questioned Rick multiple times. He had an alibi. That day, according to him, he was at the garage between 2 and 5 p.m., repairing a Ford truck. 2 co-workers corroborated this, but one of them later admitted to having mixed up the dates. The other alibi, an invoice signed at 3:45 p.m., turned out to be false. Rick had altered it. The police requested call records, bank statements, even a forensic analysis of his truck. They found traces of children's hair on the rear carpet, but it didn't match Emily's DNA. The test was dismissed. There were no direct witnesses, no videos, no concrete leads linking him to the crime. But his behavior raised suspicions. He refused to take a polygraph test, mocked reporters, and in a local interview said if they took her, it was because she was alone. Laura, torn by grief and torn between loyalty and fear, didn't report him. "I didn't want to believe that someone I shared my bed with could hurt my daughter," she confessed years later. The dark years, 2001-2010. Emily's disappearance became a cold case. The posters faded in the rain. The television ads stopped. Laura spiraled into depression and addiction. She attempted suicide twice. Rick left her in 2003, claiming he couldn't live with a broken woman. He moved to Illinois and disappeared off the radar. With the help of her mother and therapy, Laura managed to move forward. In 2007, she founded a foundation in Emily's memory, Voices for the Missing, which supported families of missing children. She spoke at schools, at conferences, and even testified before Congress to demand improvements in immediate search protocols. But in her eyes, there was always a shadow. Doubt. Is she alive? Did she suffer? Was it Rick? Meanwhile, the police kept the case open. Retired detectives like Sergeant Frank Delaney continued to review files in their spare time. "We knew it was him," he would later say. "But without proof, we couldn't do anything." The Spark of Hope, 2011-2020. In 2011, a breakthrough changed everything. DNA technology had evolved. The FBI launched an initiative to re-examine cold cases with more sensitive genetic analysis techniques. Emily's case was included in the Cold Case Revisited program. Investigators collected samples from Emily's clothing, her hairbrush, and Rick's truck, which was still in police possession thanks to an unexpired hold. In 2015, a new test detected traces of mixed DNA on the rear carpet of the vehicle, a combination of Rick A.S. and an unidentified girl, S. But it wasn't enough to directly link him to Emily. The girl's DNA was too degraded. The scientists asked for more time and more money. Meanwhile, Laura continued her fight. In 2018, during an interview on a podcast about unsolved crimes, she mentioned that Rick had a notebook where he wrote weird stuff. She said she had seen it once but hadn't read it. "He kept it locked in his toolbox," she recalled. That statement went unnoticed until a listener reported it to the police. The Lost Notebook. In 2019, a man named Thomas Green contacted the Cedar Falls Police Department. He was the new owner of the auto shop where Rick had worked. While remodeling the place, he found a rusty metal box buried behind a false wall. Inside were old tools, a wallet with old photos, and a black notebook with the initials RH. The notebook contained entries dated between 1999 and 2001. At first, they were notes about mechanical jobs, phone numbers, and addresses. But toward the end, the tone changed. And, on a page dated August 13th, 2000, "Problem solved. No one will believe me. She won't scream anymore." Handwriting experts confirmed the handwriting was Rick's, but the definitive proof was still missing. In 2020, local police obtained a warrant to exhume the body of a dog Rick had buried in his backyard in 2000. According to veterinary records, the dog had died of poisoning, the same day Emily disappeared. In the animal's bones, forensic experts found traces of soil with unusual particles, a mixture of quicklime and a rare type of clay used in an abandoned quarry 15 miles from Cedar Falls. The quarry had been closed in 1998, but Rick had worked there temporarily in 1999. Investigators combed the site with trained dogs and thermal drones. In March 2021, they found small human bone fragments buried under a makeshift concrete slab. DNA testing confirmed they were Emily Carter's. The Buried Truth. The Ghost Returns, April 2021. When the news leaked, Cedar Falls came to a standstill. 21 years later, Emily's body had been found, and with it, the possibility of justice. But Rick Holloway no longer lived in Illinois. Since 2010, he had vanished from the system. No steady job, no permanent address, no digital trace. It was said that he was working as a day laborer in South Texas under false names. The FBI issued a nationwide alert. Arrest warrants were issued in 5 states. Laura Carter, now 51, held a press conference with tears in her eyes. "I don't want revenge. I want the world to know that my daughter existed and that her life was not in vain." The Ghost Hunt. For 8 months, Rick evaded justice. He used burner phones, paid in cash, and changed cities every 2 weeks. But he made a mistake. In October 2021, he called an old friend in Missouri from a payphone. The call lasted 37 seconds. It was enough for the FBI to trace his location. He was arrested in an abandoned van at a Kansas City junkyard. He offered no resistance. He simply said, "I knew this would come to pass." The Trial of Silence. Rick Holloway's trial began in March 2022. It was one of the most high-profile Midwestern trials in decades. The prosecution presented overwhelming evidence. Emily's DNA at the quarry linked to soil found in Rick's truck. The notebook, with entries coinciding with the disappearance. Testimony from former co-workers who admitted to lying in 2000 under pressure from Rick. Forensic records showing that the concrete at the quarry had been poured with a mix identical to the one Rick used at his job. Rick refused to testify. Her lawyer argued that it was all circumstantial. He tried to blame a stranger, suggesting that Emily might have been kidnapped by a random predator. But the judge didn't allow that line of defense. Records showed that Rick had been at the quarry that very day. The verdict came on May 17, 2022, guilty of first-degree kidnapping, aggravated murder, and concealment of a body. The sentence: life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Grief transformed. Laura didn't celebrate. Instead, she organized a symbolic funeral for Emily in the park where she used to play. Hundreds of people attended: neighbors, volunteers, mothers of other missing children. Laura read a letter she had written to her daughter. "I never forgot you for a single day. Every flower I planted, every law I changed, every tear I shed was for you. I hope that somewhere your laughter is still ringing." Having become a national voice against domestic violence and crimes against children, Laura succeeded in getting the state of Iowa to pass Emily's Law in 2023, which requires step-parents and domestic partners to undergo criminal background checks before having prolonged contact with children in shared custody cases. Shadows of the past. Despite the conviction, many questions remained unanswered. Why did Rick kill her? Did he torture her? Did he bury her with love or hatred? The forensic psychiatrists who evaluated him concluded that he suffered from antisocial personality disorder with narcissistic traits, but he refused to cooperate. In an unpublished letter found in his cell in 2024, he wrote, "She wasn't mine. She never was. I just wanted Laura to love me without distractions." That sentence became a symbol of the silent danger that lurks in seemingly normal homes. Emily's legacy. In 2025, the Emily Carter Center for Child Abduction Prevention opened in Cedar Falls. Funded by national donations, it offers police training, psychological support for families, and an AI-powered early warning system that cross-references missing persons data with mobility patterns. Laura, now with grey hair but a resolute gaze, gave the inaugural address. "For 25 years I lived with one question. What happened to my daughter? Today, I don't have all the answers, but I have justice. And that is enough to keep going. For Emily. For all the Emilys of the world." The broken silence. Emily Carter's story became an emblematic case in American criminal history. Not because of the violence, but because of the perseverance. Because it proved that time doesn't erase the truth. It only buries it deeper. Today in the Cedar Falls Cemetery, there is a simple headstone. Emily Rose Carter, March 12, 1994, August 12, 2000. Her light continues to shine in every child under our protection. And in a maximum security cell in southern Illinois, Rick Holloway spends his days in silence. He says he prays. No one knows if he prays for forgiveness or for oblivion, but the world will not forget. Because as long as someone remembers Emily, her story will live on.